Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. I don't know what my cat is doing right now, but she is acting really strange. I want to thank everybody that tuned in earlier and caught me live from my show. So those go off about every month and a half to 2 months. There's actually, it's almost a tour. I could go around the country, and I would love to do that because I could film in different cities everywhere I go and see people from the boat. I have to get off federal probation before I can do anything like that, and I'm there. I mean, I'm honestly there. This week coming up, I am going to be contacting the attorney that I hired back when I was getting ready to go to prison. He passed away from C+ Math. He was an older gentleman, really famous in this town. I actually hired probably the best lawyer in the entire town, who did nothing. Honestly, you talk about just handing money to somebody for free. This cat did nothing. You know what? I lost something. So today was another really good day there, people. It really was. It was also a really good time. I had a lot of fun, but I am absolutely running on empty. And a lot of people have said some really kind things. Hey, Johnny, let's see who we got here. Charlie Murphy, good to see you. Hermit Hill, Kentucky, good to see you. I need to send you an email. I'll be texting you tomorrow morning. M. Hunt, good to see you. I am the Noise Opera. Thanks for your support, brother. I love you, man. I really do. Conky Donked, good to see you. Seventh Son, cracking jokes, no doubt. Space Jeezel, good to see you. Seventh Son, Miss V, thank you for your support from the very beginning, too. You know, I highlight people, and every time I do, I think afterwards, man, you know, it's almost a slap in the face to everybody else that's been here from day one, because there have been a lot of you. But if I just knock out a few of you every couple of days and talk about it, eventually I will honor virtually everybody that's been here. Heather, good to see you. Thanks for all you do. Ladybug, good to see you. Mr. Wolf, I'm calling the Wolf. Good to see you. T. Prada, glad that you're here. Hope you're feeling good. People, I'll tell you what, my headache is gone. I mean, truthfully, I'm not just saying that for your benefit. I don't have any headache right now at all. But I came home from the show and, hey, here, I'll put it in there and you don't have to. So I came home from the show and I went to the store and I grabbed a Red Bull or two. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to drink a couple of Red Bulls and then I'll go and I'll knock out the lifeboat. And then, you know, I'll go and collapse and I'm going to get some sleep. It's going to be a really long night of sleep. Mark, good to see you. And I drank 2 Red Bulls, which did absolutely nothing. Seriously, they did nothing whatsoever for any kind of energy, which is somewhat surprising, but it is an absolute fact. So after that, I came in here and I hooked up little Miss Diva with her new basket. The people next to me had, you probably saw it in the video if you saw it, but the booth right next to me was selling handmade baskets from Kenya. Nicest 2 people you ever would meet in your entire life. And I'm not just saying that, everybody was saying that. Right? The people came by to talk to me, and I know everybody. I know all the vendors. Well, these people were new. And vendors I've known from 5 or 6 shows came by and just said, you know, the people in the booth next to you are the nicest people I've ever met. They say hi to everybody. They go out of their way to be friendly. And they really did. They were just really, really sweet people. Let's see what we got here. All right, let me just make sure I'm not losing anybody here. Well, Miss V doesn't like some crap. I'm not sure what crap you don't like, but I probably don't like it either. How did the antique show go? You know what? It went amazing. It really did. It went amazing. It was really just a good show. In fact, it was the best show that I've done in terms of business, like sales I've done, in terms of contacts that I made, in terms of the amount of money that I did, and just look virtually every single way you could possibly judge a show. This was the best of them. And I also had an awful lot of fun. However, I am literally running on empty. And when I figured that out, I thought, I'm just going to shoot a video. I did, full of hope. I survived today. When I was loading everything up, so I have a black tote that you pull on wheels. It's a very, very big black box. It's probably 3.5 feet long. It's maybe 2 feet tall and 2 feet wide. So it's like 2 by 2 by 3. And it is so jammed full that I'll bet it weighs 80 pounds. And then the watch boxes that you see that hold 12 watches in each box, I bring probably 14 of those completely stocked. And then I bring what they call full sets. These would be watches that have an inner and an outer box and paperwork and all of that. The Holy Grail watches, because everybody wants full sets. And I probably bring 25 of those and then maybe 60 pocket watches. So by the time everything was packed up, you're talking about just a lot of trips with really, really heavy stuff. And I would, when you're coming in, everybody's booth stays set up and they leave all of their merchandise there overnight. I don't do that, because if somebody walks off with any of my merchandise, these people sell antiques, and it's still a risk that someone might steal it or whatever. But I've got a couple of those of those little 12 watch carriers. The really low end stuff, there might be $600 in one of those 12 in one of those teeny boxes, which would just be very easy to take. Really low end stuff, maybe $600. But the high end stuff could have 40,000, in one of those little 12 watch holders. And I'm just too frightened to leave my stuff there. So I got to unload it at the end of every single day. And it was funny, people, because we got there today and we set up, and everybody, and I mean everybody, was commenting that the rumor, it's everybody knows one another. We've all been doing these shows now for a long time. And the rumor mill was that I made so much money on the first day that I took off hours early. That makes me nervous at shows too. We've had people snag tubes of terror after the show ended. Yeah, I worry that a watch walks off, and if somebody grabs the right watch, they could leave with one watch and cost me $15,000 to $19,000. And so I just pack everything up and I put it in the car. I leave nothing there. I mean, a couple of empty cases kind of thing. Maybe the cloth that I leave on the tables and things like that, because you supply all of that. They just give you, the tables that you rent. That's all you're getting. And a couple of chairs, which my butt didn't hit more than 30 seconds in 2 days. I was on my feet the whole time. But everybody was just talking about how I took off because I made so much money on the first day. I killed it. So I just decided to leave early. And a couple of people were kind of salty about it. So I was explaining to people, no, you know what? I do a YouTube channel every night at 5 o'clock. And I was talking to a guy toward so you guys saw me do a walk and I was walking away from my booth. Well, I went all the way down to the very end. And I was talking to a guy who 2 or 3 shows back was my next door neighbor. So I got to know him really well over, 16 hours or whatever of hanging out with him. And he goes, yeah, the word is you made your $500,000 yesterday and took off early. Must be nice. I said, no, man, I didn't take off early. I said, I have it had nothing to do with money. I said, I do a channel on YouTube and I do it live, and it's every night at 5 o'clock. I do it on the fives, so to speak. So the guy goes, you do a watch channel? What's the name of the channel? And I said, it's not a watch channel. I said, it's really a lot more like a NA or an AA meeting, like it's that kind of thing. And you would have thought, right, that I was, a stand-up comic. This dude just started to laugh, right? And then he saw that I wasn't laughing along with him, and he goes, oh, seriously, that's what you do? And I go, yeah, no, that's what I do. And he goes, oh, that's kind as hell to work with addicts. And I said, yeah, I'm one of those too. And I don't know. I'm sure relatives probably would be bummed out with the openness, but I like that moment of the realization that they screwed up because I'm an addict. Like I really, honestly, and maybe that's not very nice of me or very kind to me, but I absolutely dig it when somebody does the you know. Or the previous show, I told you guys, the previous show, some guy said, man, I don't know how you work with those effing junkies. And I said, well, I used to be one. And there was a guy standing there at the booth. I told you about him. He kind of looked buff and a little rough around the edges. And he goes, yeah, you know what? Me too. Well, that guy was back 2 days in a row. He came and talked to me. And my mom was at the show with me for a while. And she said, boy, that guy looks a little rough, you know. And she didn't mean it as an insult. She just means he looks like he could pull your arms off. And I said, that's the guy that, said that he was an addict and talked about how long he had been sober. But a lot of people there. I think it's like anything else. We talked about how you go out and you seek something to replace your addiction. You seek passion, right? What flips your switch? What makes you happy, right? Well, very much like, my brother, with a lot of the people that follow the lifeboat are recovering addicts, a ton. And people go, there's a big correlation between capsaicin and people who used to be addicts. I think there's a big correlation between people who were in active addiction and people who found a passion, whatever that passion is. The guy that I walked by and showed you the cowboy hat on, really great watchmaker and a very, very good friend of mine. He's a recovering alcoholic, and working on watches and clocks has become his passion, and it's what he does. And of the people that I know there, and I probably know 40 vendors, of those that have talked to me about, we don't choose the things that we are wildly passionate about. Those things choose us. I believe that, Johnny. I really do. I believe that. And I just see it everywhere. I see it when I'm at these shows. What do you love? And there are so many people of the 35 I know, at least 6 or 7 of them have said to me that they no longer drink, or they no longer do drugs, or they no longer, do whatever. This passion of theirs has helped them quit. And I talked to a woman, not today, but yesterday, who makes the most beautiful, they're like pendants. I think she may have had some earrings there, but most of the stuff she makes is pretty big. And she takes really, really thin copper, right? Like thinner than a copper wire would be. And she'll have 9 of them going out in different directions, and she weaves these things through, and then she just sat there cranking on them. And I walked up to her today and I said, out of curiosity, what does one of those go for? And she said, they're about $300. And I said, how long does it take you to do one of those? And she said, if I'm in the groove and I'm really going well, about 6 hours. And she said, which isn't a bad hourly wage. I said, no, it is not. And she said, but more importantly, I found a passion. She said, and my old passions were awful. And I didn't push her. I didn't ask. I thought if she really wanted me to know exactly what she was talking about, she would have said, I'm in recovery or whatever. But people just, it's like my brother says, it's going to choose you. It really will. Your passion is going to choose you. Unless, of course, you refuse to look at it. Right? Why is it that we all seem to find our passion after we get sober? Not because we're looking for our passion, but because we're not looking for dope. Right? When you stop concentrating exclusively on drugs or alcohol, you're going to notice things that flip your switch. I have been a watch guy my whole life. And my whole life I have been saying, I would rather do watches than anything else. But when I said that, what I really meant was I would rather be doing watches than anything other than dope. So once dope was gone, once I eliminated that poison out of my life, then now I really am living the dream. And I'm getting a little old. Like the shows wear me out. Being on my feet for that many hours. And yesterday, I got here yesterday, people, and by the time I was done making a thumbnail, I was going live. Today, I had a thumbnail that had absolutely nothing to do with, when I went to upload it, it would not upload. I would click on the image of the thumbnail, and when it would go to, if you're a YouTuber, you probably had this happen to you, but when you go to take it over, it shows up blank. And no matter how many times you try to hit it, it says error. I turned off the computer. I turned it back on. Like I did this 4 or 5 times, which is why I was about a minute late, and I'm never late going live. But so I had a picture of a squirrel in her new basket, and I thought I would go with this. So to all of you who have been joking for the longest time about how Squirrel was too big for her little basket, the people next to me had these Kenya baskets, and I went over and said, I need one of those. And the woman's like, yeah, pick anything you want. You know, she was very, very friendly. And they're all really deep. And I'm like, no, I need something that's barely like almost like a plate. And she just looked so perplexed. And I was like, I'm putting a cat in it. Which is really, really, it's, it got I think it got a laugh. And I was trying to explain to her, I said, think of how stupid this sounds. But this is what I said to the woman. Well, here's the deal. At the end of every one of my YouTube shows, I hold up a cat in a basket. And I say to everybody, and this is a cat in a basket. And I got this look. Okay. This one over here would probably be better. I know she's going home and saying to her husband, what was he talking about with the cat in the basket thing? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. 99% of my time playing music has been spent with drug addicts who were using me. I believe that, I'm Hunt. And Bud, since this is in the comments section, and I'm not picking on you, and I hope I hope everybody's listening, because I'm not just saying this to Emma Hunt, I'm saying this to everybody. One of the first things that just slaps you in the face when you get sober is a form of self-awareness that cannot occur when you're using. There is so many light bulbs that go off where you go, oh man, honestly, when I'm playing, I'm hanging out with people, all of these things that are like, they're revelations. I remember one a day for a couple of years where things would just occur to me and I'd go, oh man, it's been that way my whole life. And I've just been too wasted to care, or too wasted to pay attention, or just too wasted, and the more wasted I was, the more wasted my life was. But to go around, these shows are so important to me, and not because of the money, and the money was great. I was doing the math. I do 7 of these shows a year. The amount of business I did on this, if 7 shows would make a year. Like I could just do the shows. It was really that fantastic. I sold a very, really, really nice watch today. I am me now, says Monk. I love it. I love it. That's, Monk, every day when I get up, I feel that way. So today, somebody came by to get a watch, and it was a watch with a battery. I'm not a big fan of watches with batteries, right? It's still a watch, and I respect them for what they are, but they don't have the same heart to me as a regular watch does. But when the guy picked it up, he said, oh, I've had this watch 10 years. And I thought, this is cool. He's getting a watch that he used to have. And obviously there's some passion there. I love playing music and I love listening to music, but I can't right now because I get too triggered by it. There are so many songs that trigger me still. I'm working on it. You know what? Hey, Coburn, thank you so much. This is the money I was going to spend on beer tonight. I bet you can make better use of it. Wow. Man, that is cool. I hope instead of that, you're going to sit at a piano, brother. I really do. If you've got that talent, please take advantage of that. Thank you, Coburn. That's humbling, and what a great comment. That's just beautiful. It really is, man. That is awesome. And yes, we will make good use of it. ZW. This is something that I wrestled with really, really hard for a really long time, because I don't listen to new music. I listen to old music, and all of it triggered me for a really long time. And it's to the point now where the only music that really triggers me, there's one album and you know what it is because I talk about it all the time on here, but there's one album I just can't listen to, right? Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses is an album that will always... I shouldn't say always because you never know, but today, forget it. It's a trigger for me. And it doesn't mean, people, if you're hearing, if you're at this channel for the first time, a trigger doesn't mean you're going to go use. A trigger means it brings on emotions that are dangerous, right? It makes you think about things that are dangerous. ZW, when I wanted music more than anything, when I was getting sober, music was so important to me because I was incarcerated. I could not watch television. And, I had just gotten my diagnosis and I wasn't watching any TV and I read a lot, but you kind of got to break up that monotony or you're going to start going cross-eyed. If you're reading 8 hours a day, and I was, you need, a little something to break up the monotony. And listening to the radio, which is what most people do, was dangerous for me because you didn't know what the next song was going to be, and you didn't know if the next song was going to be a trigger. But they sold an MP3 player, and you could buy the songs at 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, $1.50, depending on the how new it was. And I bought mostly old stuff. But what I did was I started out with 2 songs that I remembered learning the words to before I ever did drugs the first time. These were really old tunes for me. And I think I've talked about it. The song Life's Been Good to Me So Far by Joe Wall. It was a song that was one of the first songs that really I remember just hearing it and going, wow, this is so cool. Brittany Has Eyes, good to see you. I remember thinking to myself just how cool that song was. And I would lay on the ground with my feet on the speaker of this massive turntable and radio combination. I think it might have had an 8-track player. It did. It had an 8-track player as well. Johnny knows what I'm talking about. I took up half the living room. But I would lay on my back with my feet up on it and listen to that and listen to like American Top 40. And I remember the songs that I first heard and music had first lit me up. Like it was the first thing that really, that riff from Life's Been Good to Me So Far. I remember the first time I heard it thinking, damn, that's different. Like that just, it got me. So I started going back and concentrating on music that was important to me before I became a drug addict. And I admit, I became a drug addict very young. So I had to really target stuff. And then what I found was, over time, almost all of it went away. There are songs that I can listen to. It's if you have a significant other that you've spent any length of time with, chances are you guys have a song. And, there was a time in my life where I thought I would never be able to listen to songs that had anything to do with exes, especially, exes that, I was using really heavily during the relationships or whatever. Those days are gone. I can listen to those songs and they, there's a song that every time I hear reminds me of my dad, and it's crippling in the best kind of way. You know what I mean? Like it puts a lump right here in my throat and tears well up in my eyes. And it was a song that my dad loved. And he said to me, I love this song because it just makes me think of my father. And that song now makes me think of my father. And there was a time where it would have triggered me to use. Like it was because it's just such an emotional thing for me. But it's not anymore. So, these things do kind of transition. But start looking for stuff that's really old. Start looking. Most of us had favorite songs before we got high. Go back and find one. And you know what? I used to play Life's Been Good to Me So Far probably 25 times a day when I first got sober. Because it was one of those songs. The Lido Shuffle was another one of those songs. One of those things that, a happy cry. Absolutely, Monk. A happy cry. And those exist. Happy cries are beautiful. They really are. And my grandfather on Papa Scoville's side, it was he and my dad and one of my uncles, and they were all sitting around, and I can't remember whether they were watching TV or but I was really young, and all of them were having a happy cry, but they were crying, like they were affected, and I didn't get it. You know what I mean? Because when you're a kid, crying means that something really bad happened, and there's no way to understand anything beyond that. And I remember going up to my uncle and saying, what's the deal? Why are you guys sad? And my grandfather said to me, oh, we're not sad. It's nostalgia. And I didn't know what the word nostalgia meant. And I was one of those really inquisitive kids, especially when it came to words. The vocabulary thing was really, really a big deal for me as a kid. I wanted to know what every word meant. And I said to him, I don't know what that word means. What is nostalgia? And I remember this. This had to be, well, I don't even need to tell you how old I am, but it was 4 decades and some change ago. But he said to me, nostalgia is a knife that feels really good when you get stabbed with it. And I remember thinking, he's screwing with me. But I never forgot it. And as you get older, and the whole nostalgia thing, I I would say, and I'm not exaggerating, that 60% of the phone calls that I have with my daughter end up in happy tears, where both of us end up crying. First band to really get me into music is Tool. Absolutely incredible to see live. I saw them live. Memory and music are very closely linked. Like certain smells immediately bring back memories. Like strumming. Yes, strumming will bring back memories. That, or I smell a dead body or a carcass on the side of the road, and it takes me right back to that day at the pond for the strumming. But this is absolutely such a great point. And I can't speak to women. I'm sure it's the same thing, but I can't speak to it. But I can certainly speak to men. A guy will smell perfume from a woman that meant something to you at some time in your life, and it is instant. There is nothing in the world, and there's a reason for this. There's science behind it because of where your olfactory senses are in your brain. They're so close to the memory part that that was a knife that you didn't want. Yeah, correct. They're so close to the memory part of your brain that there's nothing that triggers memories quicker than smells. Music is another one, but smells are really unbelievable. I've told the story. In prison, they don't allow female employees, whether they be guards or whether they be civilian employees, they don't allow them to wear perfume. I guess the concept being that convicts are unable to control themselves, and if they smell somebody that smells good, they'll go insane or whatever. But they're not allowed to. Across the board, they're not allowed to. And one day they brought in a woman. She had to be in her 70s, but they brought a woman in to work with us on what they call a reentry program, where they're going to teach you. They talk to you about what you're going to do the day you get out. Go get a license, go do this, go do that, whatever. So she came in and she was wearing the perfume Michael. And when she walked into the room, I got there really late, so there was one seat left. And it was an auditorium style seating, and every single seat was taken. So my seat was in front of the front row against a wall that was basically bolted down. So I was facing the audience, not the woman. It was awful, right? But when she walked in, there was enough of that stuff on that every guy smelled it. And I was staring, and I could point out every guy in the room for who Michael was an issue, right? Or Michael was a memory, because, that up and to the left kind of thing, you know what I mean? Where you see people smell it and they go, and they're instantly back to wherever it was the last time they smelled that. And these are powerful things that can be harnessed. These are things that can be used. If you've never looked up neuro-linguistic behavioral training or any of that stuff, you really can take advantage of some of this. Let's say all your memories sucked, right? You could start building them. And through these kind of concepts, if you're working on something that is just epic, if I'm putting together, something for the lifeboat that is going to be a part of this show for eternity, or if I'm working with somebody or whatever, if I crack a bottle of essential oils, right, for a scent that I don't mess with much, and I'll use patchouli as an example because everybody knows what it smells like. But if you've never smelled patchouli and you're working on something that is a really important thing, and years from now you're going to look back on it, and you just take the top off of a bottle of patchouli and put it in front of you while you're doing this, right? Now you're engaging every scent. All of your 5 senses are being engaged, right? You're writing, you're looking, you're hearing, you're smelling, like everything's going on. And at a later date, you take the top off of a bottle of the same scent, whether it's patchouli or whatever you choose, and you will be back. It will bring you back, and it will flood you with brain chemicals. I mean, an absolute fact. It always smelled like lavender. I was going through withdrawals and having seizures. I've told the story in here before too. I was put in a cell wearing a dress. I was, against my will, put on suicide watch, and I was in a cell that didn't have a window. I'm not even kidding you. They had jammed towels into it. You could see your breath. And I was in that cell for 30 days, including Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I was just getting out. I was in there a little more than 30 days. I was just getting out before New Year's. But they came in at one point to try to help me. And they brought in liquid nails and this really thick, like a plastic stuff that they were going to put in the windows to try to keep so that I wasn't just freezing to death. But liquid nails, I smell liquid nails, and I promise you, it's like I am right back there. I am in that place, sitting in a suicide smock with my hands cuffed behind my back while they were trying to make the place warmer for me as a Christmas gift, which was very kind of them, actually. But you can absolutely... I used to love Michael Jackson cologne. Oh, Michael Jordan cologne. I'm sorry. Would have been a lot funnier if it was Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan cologne. I asked my grandma to buy it for me as a Christmas gift. She says to me, "Why do you want to smell like a sweaty basketball player?" Your grandmother is funny and cracks me up. She really is. She sends me funny things too. She's very, very funny. My favorite is lavender. My daughter says it smells like an old lady. I said I am an old lady. T. Prada, you're not that old, hon. Hi, everyone. It's Chuck Norris. My other account is not letting me do anything. No YouTube page loads. This is it for me now. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I assure you it has nothing to do with us. I am a sweaty basketball player, says Scott. I really would have been that would have been the perfect comeback. So you saw the thumbnail, people, and it says I'm running on empty, and I am. I'm not going to make this whole video. I'm literally doing everything within my power right now to stay awake. I can barely keep my eyes open, and I am. Flamin' Jackson, I love you, man. It's good to see you. Flamin', man, send me a message sometime. I want to hear how your career is going, bud. I really do. And I've got people who ask me all the time, "How's he doing with that? How's he doing with that?" Like I should know exactly how you're doing, and I probably should. So, Brittany, I am going to get some sleep. The thumbnail actually said, it said, "Do what you love," and it said it in neon. And right below it, I wrote, "I love to sleep." I am going to go to bed. It's here on the left coast. It is 32 minutes after the hour of 5. I am going to be asleep by 6. I kid you not. I am going to be asleep by 6, and it's going to be one of those nights that I get an awful lot of rest, and I need it. But I will be back tomorrow morning, and tomorrow's a holiday, which is cool. So I don't have to. I got about 9 watches that I need to get packaged up, but I don't have to go and mail any of them. I can't really get any of that done tomorrow. So there's not going to be a ton to do. I'm going to have to unload everything from the show, but I'm going to catch up on a bunch of emails. I'm going to catch up on a bunch of comments. And we're going to change the way the lifeboat looks. It's not going to change anything about the... Betty Zoom, welcome to the boat. Glad that you're here. I'm sad because I'm about to shut the show down, but I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope you're here tomorrow night or tomorrow morning at 5. People, we're live on the 5s. We are going to be changing the appearance of the lifeboat. Nothing else is going to change, but when Mark and I first did the banner, it looks stretched. It needs a change. We're not changing the name. We're not changing anything else. I saw a crow making 2D2 sounds on the... Yep, I lost it. Anunnaki Child. I saw a crow making R2D2 sounds on YouTube. Yeah, I may have actually seen that. I may have actually seen that video. That sounds really, really familiar to me. Before I go, there is one or two things that I really wanted to touch on, because this was one of those things that I got to talk about this before I go. Okay. Jesus is Luke Skywalker left a comment today, and the comment said, "I am 5 minutes away from 2 days sober." I'm 5 minutes away from 2 days sober. So I was in a car driving from where I was at. I had to jump in the car and run and grab a couple of batteries for a watch that I squirreled. I was telling you about this earlier. I squirreled, but I had to drive over and grab a couple of batteries so that this person could buy a watch that they had for years, and they were getting an opportunity to buy another one, which was really cool. But I'm driving and I got a notification. So as I'm pulling into the parking lot of this place, and if you could have watched this, people, it looked like something from a movie, because I had a lot I had to get done in a short period of time, and I know that sounds like my life, but this was really, I wasn't speeding dangerous or any of that, but I certainly wasn't, taking my time. And I can make time up running from the car to the store. Like, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss the sale. So I heard the notification and I looked down and I saw that. And it literally stopped me in my tracks. Like, I took the time to stop and comment back to it. And I'm telling you right now that watches are awesome. I'm going to spend my whole life in one way or another working with watches. I love them. There's nothing really out there that you can put your hands on and play with that mean more to me. There's real significance in time, and the keeping of time for me is really huge. But it doesn't dump chemicals into my brain like that comment did. I'm not kidding you. I got out of the car to walk in and get these batteries, and the only way to describe it is a fecal matter devouring grin. A big crap-eating grin from ear to ear. And there was a guy getting out of a truck who wanted to beat me to the door because he knew that they were going to have to service both of us, and he would have liked to have gotten his stuff done before mine. And I wasn't in nearly the hurry I was in prior to that. The look on my face. 9 days, well done, Vicky. 9 days, no smoking. As long as you've had a smoking habit, that is so impressive to me, and I hope everybody else gets that. That is a really rough addiction. Nicotine is a rough addiction, and smoking it, the delivery system is really, really... Time keeps you sober. It does, and this is to me always an indicator of sobriety. It will always, to me, the watch. There's a lot of groups. There are sobriety groups, and they say the first thing you do is you get a watch, so that you realize that you're never going to waste any more time in your life. And it's a constant reminder, the weight on your wrist, the fact that you look at it whenever you want to know what time it is. Looking at your phone doesn't give you the same feeling. You look at that watch and you remember that you wasted time and that you're never going to do it again. And there's something almost magic about a watch for me. But I'm telling you, when you get a text message that says, I'm 5 minutes away from 2 days, I love hearing somebody is 45 years or 30 years. It makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But it doesn't flood my brain the way that did. When someone is 2 days sober, when someone is 3 days sober or whatever, that is fighting the good fight. That's the hardest time you're ever going to have to get through. And that's the world changing. And if that sounds like it's over dramatic or whatever, then you're on the wrong channel. Because it really is that big a deal. And boy, it was so awesome today. It really was. And it probably put a smile on my face for about an hour, where I just felt like, when the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and you got to get up to do a video on the fives, that's the stuff that gets you up. That's the stuff that keeps you doing this when you're really tired and you feel like you can't do another one. That's the kind of stuff that keeps it going. I promise it is. And for all of you who emailed me and said, look, dude, take time, it's exactly what I'm doing. Look at this. I'm ending a full 20 minutes early, and I'm going to go to bed. People, I'm going to be back tomorrow on the 5. So we will see you first thing in the morning, and we're going to do a heck of a show. Yeah, Vicky, congratulations. Good stuff. Really. Okay, sorry. I will be back tomorrow on the 5s. I'm going to go get some sleep. It's been a great weekend. Thank you for all the support. You guys are great. You really are. And my head feels good. And I promise you, to all of you who emailed me, that doesn't mean it's over, right? It just means that I haven't got it looked at. I'm going to get it looked at. I promise you I am. I want to know if what this is related to, if it's related to my problem or anything else, but I'm absolutely going to be getting it looked at. So you have my word on that. And tomorrow, I do absolutely want to, I promise you, I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to get rested up, and tomorrow I'll be raring to go. And people, between now and then, take care of yourself. All right? And look at that, huh? That is a cat in a basket. And it's a new basket. Look how big it is, huh? Fits the whole pillow. She's not hanging out over the side. The diva is in a new basket. And it only took us 18 months. All right, peeps. I'm Captain Tommy Scobo. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.